Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how.
Having a hell of a time doing it.
Laughing every step of the way.
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture. Welcome back to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. It is the last day of school today.
For my kids, is it for your kids? Like, how does that work?
They still have a little bit more to go. It just kind of depends on the year and how many days we've taken off that
right.
Other people don't necessarily take off. And they still have a little bit, but they're almost done.
Nice. Yeah, but for my kids, they're donezo.
Yes.
6th grader's done, the 3rd grader's done, and the 1st grader's done.
Summer, baby.
The 7th grader said, do I have to go to school? And I was like, you actually want to not go to school? He always wants to go to school. So I was like,
right.
Absolutely. Did I see him at all? No, I did not. He just left.
Oh my gosh. It's so exciting that school's out. But with that...
very, very quickly are we turning around and doing the hard.
Right. So... just as a refresher to explain our situations a little bit. I have my kids all the time, 24/7, 365 days a year. I don't co-parent with anyone.
I feel like 365. I'm like, isn't there more? Don't you have them more? It feels like more.
It does feel like more. Especially when we talk about making food for them.
24/7. 500 days of the year.
All the time.
We're just kind of saying that. 500 days of the year.
But remind them what your situation is.
So my kid's dad lives in Texas and he gets them half of the summer. Mm-hmm. So they'll be gone for 6 weeks starting Sunday, which is fast, which is good, but fast. I like, cause this, like a lot of time, like last year they left a week or two after the end of school. And so we just had this weird lull of a week and we just used that time to prep.
Right.
And so now it's like school's over, prep, and then they go. And I feel like we're not wasting any of our summertime.
Right, because that felt awkward. I think that could help a lot of women out there too, going like, what should summer visitation look like? So what would your advice be on picking dates for that?
So far, my favorite is as close to when school is being let out as possible, because then they come home and we have this whole time to recalibrate them and then have our summer and then get them ready for the school year. Because the first year they came back and we had a few weeks before school started, and so we felt like we didn't get a summer at all.
Right.
And then when they got back, we felt like we were just prepping for school. And so it just, because everybody does that, everybody has to prep for school.
Yeah.
And that cuts into my summertime no matter what. And so having that, I don't know, just trying to get as much of the big chunk time to do summer is the better. So yeah, I don't love them leaving, but having them go 2 days after school's out is, I think, going to be the best of the scenario.
So today we wanted to talk about kids leaving for 6 weeks. This is y'all's 3rd summer doing it.
Yeah.
But before that, kids had only been away from you for how many nights?
So he had a gradual possession, which I'm so unbelievably grateful for, because just like you, raising those kids while I was married was pretty much me.
Right.
And so I never was without them. I don't think I ever had a night away from my kids since my first was born. Maybe some of them, but not alone.
Right.
Because I'm thinking about doTERRA Convention, which is where you and I met. And I always had a baby. We always had a baby at convention.
That's true.
So I don't think so we had a gradual possession. And so what was typical was every other weekend they'd be gone, which was okay.
Which was 2 nights, yeah?
2 nights.
Okay.
Friday night and Saturday night. But then he would get 2 weeks in every other Christmas. No. 1 week. No, it was 2 weeks. I'm so sorry. I can't remember. It was like, that felt like a long time.
Right.
It was either 1 or 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, this is a long time.
Right.
And then he moved to Texas and I was like, oh, 6 weeks. That's a long time.
It's a long time.
That's different.
To go
That's
without
so different.
Your kids.
It's super, super long. So it's, we're adjusting, but I don't think there's an adjustment that's like, oh, we've got it. This is good.
Right.
It's always going to be hard. And so we're navigating and learning every year how to make it better, how to do things better, because we don't have control over that scenario.
And I think that is going to be helpful to some women out there. It doesn't get easier just because it's y'all's 3rd time doing it. It's not easier in any way, but you are learning different tools.
Yeah.
To help everybody kind of make it the best that you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think what I didn't anticipate was that it was going to get harder every year. And that was, so something that I didn't anticipate was that a lot of this stuff gets harder every year. I thought it would get easier, and it gets harder. But what I am also finding is I'm learning more coping skills. I'm learning more tools to get through it. So even though it's harder, we're still gonna get through it. It's still better. And I think we'll get to a point where it's not, I don't want to call it easy,
Right.
but that we've got it a little bit more tuned in so that we are capable and prepared, and that them going isn't as hard as it is.
I love that.
So that's something that I just really wanted to talk about today, because this has been the hardest one so far in the 5.5 years that I've been divorced. There's so much learning, and I want that to be the takeaway for me, and hoping that maybe that helps somebody else.
I love that, because I'm on the opposite spectrum of,
Yeah.
I'm never without my kids. I cannot even imagine. As close as I am to you, as much as we share life and parenting and things together, I cannot even imagine sending my kids through that. Sending your kids through that is hard enough for me.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
Remember when you saw the yoga mat with one of the kids' names on it, and you just started crying?
Last summer they left, and 6 weeks is so freaking long, and I love those babies so much, and they are like my own, and we were doing
Plates and cakes.
So pancakes and working out on the Saturday mornings with the neighborhood, and we went to pull out yoga mats out of a box, and I pulled a mat out, and Carter's name was there, and I just started crying and walked away. I was like, I can't do this.
I can't lift weights, so I'm crying.
Yeah, it's so hard, and they're not even mine. So I see what you have to go through, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, you'll take them the 500 days out of the year.
Yes, absolutely, any day. And oddly enough, you say that hearing that is validating the right word?
And it is helpful. It makes me feel less alone, but it is validating, because I'm still, sometimes it feels like so much. I'm like, am I being really dramatic about this?
Right.
Am I being like overly sensitive? Is it not that
Am I
big
being a
of
baby?
Kind of, like, honestly. And so there was a day that I Marco Polo'd you, and I was kind of a hot mess, and you came on pretty quickly, and you were, and part of me being a hot mess was like, I'm sorry, we just did this yesterday, and I literally said the same things that time that I said before, and so I was feeling real stupid and insecure. And you were just like, you can come on here and say the same thing every day, all you want. I am here for that. And that was so validating, because it checked in that what I was feeling was okay. The fact that you were having a hard time and they're not even your kids, and even thinking about having to do that with your kids would be unbearable. I remember you said that word, because I'm going, that's what it feels like.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, it was like regulating for me to be like, no, these motions are appropriate.
Right.
Because I do feel like some of it's gaslighting, some of it is just insecurities in me that keep me from honoring my true emotions about it.
Right.
So having other people be like, no, what you're doing is really hard. We
Right.
can't imagine doing that, or it would be the hardest thing ever. It would be, unbearable.
I do, and I want to like add a little difference here, so people who are listening really understand the situation.
Yeah.
It's not like we are sending these kids to a parent who's been involved their entire lives and has parented alongside you every day and been at all their events and really has poured into their lives. That's not the situation that we're talking about right now. It's a very different situation. This is someone they see once, maybe twice a year, who's not involved in daily lives whatsoever, and that makes it really difficult. On top of, there's a lot of past trauma. There's a lot of worries about safety and other things that we've had to deal with in the past. So this is not a normal co-parenting situation.
Yeah.
This is different.
It is, because there's a different feeling. Like, my parents took the kids for like 4 hours, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all of this time?
And then you blinked and it was gone.
I did. Yes, I did.
Right.
But then, them going to their dads, like, a lot of people, please don't ever, when people have their kids go for a long time, don't ever be like, oh, what a nice break for you. Don't say that.
I love this. What not to say.
Don't say that. I don't mind it, because I'm not sensitive with this one, but at the same time, like, I've had to say so many times, it's not a break.
Right.
I am stressed out the entire time. I am worried the entire time, and I'm without my babies. I have to take off a hat that is so embedded inside of the core of who I am.
Right.
It's not, and their safety, all the things.
Right.
So yeah, I appreciate you adding that little tidbit. It's not like I'm being selfish with wanting just my kids with me all the
Right.
time. I'm
Right.
fine with them if they were if their dad was more involved and had more of a place in their life, it would be different.
Right.
Like if you were to take my kids for 6 weeks, I'd be like, I mean, I'm going to miss. I'd be like, best of luck to you. Now that's a vacation.
Like, okay.
So,
so what are let's move into some of the things that you have found as coping techniques, as things to prepare the kids, whatever's on your heart to share that would help other women that are facing the same situation.
God teaches me in very sweet ways, and I'm very grateful for that, for him, how he does that. So I had a week. Well, last year I numbed a lot, and I didn't love it, but I also don't think I had any other way of dealing with it. And so this year I'm like, I can't numb. That was not good for me. I need to do better. But feelings, can I just tell you that feelings are hard?
They're a lot sometimes.
So there's been a lot of crying for months, just knowing that the kids are leaving. So I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that and not shut it down, not shove it down. And so what ended up happening is one of the things is I had that Marco Polo experience with you, and I was like, okay, I get to feel these feelings, and accepting that this is hard, this is shitty, and we're going to sit in it because we can't change it, because that's part of it. I can't change it.
Right.
And the second part with that was with that Marco Polo, you then sent me some painting, some images. And you had like a story that went behind it. But what I loved the most was that you're like, you text me these images and you're like, go listen to the Marco Polo. They'll make sense. But as soon as I saw them, I knew exactly what you were going through or what the purpose. So why don't you tell your side of that painting story, and then I can kind of tell how it was received.
So I was listening to you talk on Marco Polo, and I think it was the Holy Spirit really that gave me.
I do too.
That gave me these pictures to share with you. The pictures themselves are representing miscarriage. But I don't think that's not an important detail to it. I think it represents a mom surrendering her children or her babies to God.
That surrender word through all of this is really important.
It is. And so the first picture that I sent you is a picture of a mom on her knees before Jesus, and Jesus is holding her baby, again representing miscarriage, and she is in agony. That is the best word I can describe it. And that painter, I can feel emotions when I look at that picture.
Yeah, and I showed my functional medicine doctor Jared that picture, and he was like, you can feel the pain. Like
yes.
The way he described it was exactly how you did, and I was like, that was so special to hear him use the same words that you did.
That's awesome.
But he was just.
Let me know when you want your next appointment. I'm just kidding.
Jared, I got it from here.
Pumping my ego up here.
No, it was just confirmation for me.
Yes.
Because you said agony. You see that pain and that sorrow in that woman's face.
And the artist did such a good, you can feel it just looking at the picture, which we'll include with the trailer for this episode.
Yes.
And then the next picture.
Well, she's handing her baby to Christ, and Christ is holding, and he's kneeling with her, which I love.
Yes.
I love that he's with her. He's not like above her in some cloud or anything like that. He is in that trench with her.
And I'm trying to remember, is that the picture where he is also crying?
No, it's in the next one.
Is there the second one? Okay.
Looked at these paintings a couple times.
So then the second picture is a picture of a woman and Jesus again. And
kneeling together.
They're kneeling again, and she is handing her baby over to him, but this one has such a different feel to it. It's somber. Yeah. It's sad, but it's also surrender. It's going, this hurts like hell, but I trust you. And Jesus is crying with her.
It brings me peace. It has a peace about it. It's so sweet.
And I think that both are important because we don't get to skip things just because we're Christians, just because we have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
But it does mean that when we walk through things, we have hope that the rest of the world doesn't have. So when we are going through the agony that we don't get to skip, we still have hope.
Yeah.
There's still hope in our situation, and we're able to move from a place of agony to a place of surrender. It still hurts like hell.
But we have to choose to have that faith. We have to choose to do that surrender. That doesn't happen to us. Those women are handing their babies over.
Yes.
They are actively trusting Christ at that moment.
Yes. And while your situation this situation we're talking about is not necessarily a miscarriage, it was the whole idea of you are having to surrender your babies to Jesus for 6 weeks because you can't control any of it. You can't stop it. You can't change it. Yeah. But you can control your attitude and your effort towards it all.
And that was so something I needed. because it gave me the space to be in agony, and it gave me the space to be in peace.
Right.
And it gave me the space to just feel what I needed to feel, which changes at any minute.
Right.
Which is good for me, because what I've noticed in the couple weeks since I put both of those pictures on my screensaver on my phone, and it just reminds me, like, if I'm having a hard minute, I get to have that hard minute, and I don't sit and wallow in it, and I remember the faith and the trust. So the next beautiful thing that happened after that was I'm a part of a religious class where every week we study a different talk or sermon from some of our religious leaders, and the talk that week happened to be trust in the Lord. The amount of, like, I think I just highlighted the whole thing.
Right. Right.
But it was just it was just talking about just trusting in the Lord, trusting his plan, trusting him, and like blindly trusting this. It had so much connection with, you don't have control over some of the stuff in your life, and you just have to give in to him, and just that same idea of surrender. And it just gave me so much more meat to hold on to and get into this idea of, okay, I need to trust you. I need to fully trust you. I need to have faith in your plan. In the footnotes of that had another talk from our religious leaders, and I read that one, and it spoke about that. And I'll put a couple of my favorite quotes up on when we post this episode that just are amazing. But it just those all happened within a few days. And it was just one of those things where at the beginning I was like, what am I supposed to learn from this? I can't fix this. I can't change it. This isn't like a healing thing.
Right.
This is
just
my
feels
situation.
Cruel almost.
Yes. And this situation sucks. Right. And so I was in that space. And so he was teaching me, you need to have faith in me. There was a talk I had listened to a while ago, and in that talk he says that God and Jesus would not put us through an ounce more of pain than is necessary for our growth. And I have loved that for a lot of reasons. So I'm going, if we're doing this, there's a reason. If my kids need to learn a lesson, if I need to learn a lesson, if they're going to, help them be better dads, better men, whatever it is, I don't want to keep them from that, even though it hurts, right? So it's just like those pictures. I trust your plan. You've got it, but I have to hand it over. So bam, bam, bam. I just had all these moments, and they were just so sweet and so special. And that's my thing now. Like, not my thing, but that's my goal, is to feel the feelings when I feel them. That's okay. And to trust that the Lord's got it. And so my favoriteest part, maybe not my favorite, it's all been great. I can't pick a favorite, but we went to see Jared again, and we had the last appointment before the kids went, and Jared went through and talked to me after, and he was just like, they're ready to go. And I felt that peace myself. I felt that, like, I did everything I could.
Right.
We've done everything to prepare them to do it all, and I feel so good about handing them over to their dad and handing that power and that control over to the Lord, and just be like, I did everything you asked me to. I prepared these babies as best as I could. I have loved on them. We're doing all the things. These are your babies too. It is now your turn, because I can't do anymore. And having that peace is huge.
Yeah.
Do I still cry every day? Do I still have moments where I'm that agony picture versus the peaceful picture? Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. But what's added is there's a story in the Book of Mormon about these 2,000 young men who took up arms to defend their land. And the moral of the story is the faith of their mothers are what kept them safe and kept them strong. And so Jared was teaching me about that. He's like, your boys are these 2,000, what we call 2,000 stripling warriors. He's like, they are that. You are sending them off, and your faith is what's going to keep them safe and keep them all this stuff. And he's like, now, did the boys come back injured? Yeah, they did, but none of them died because of the faith and all these things. And so I found another painting, and it's called Mother of the 2,000, and it's this, it's this mom, and she is standing in so much power. She is standing in so much strength, and her son is kneeling in front of her facing the battlefield, and she's just got her hand on him with just this strength about her. And I'm going, okay, that's who I need to be, because that's what my boys need me to be. So instead of wallowing and being like, oh, this is so hard for me, I'm going, I need to get on my knees. I need to have that faith so that they can see the strength in me, so that they can rely on their testimonies and my testimony to get them through anything that's hard. Anyway, so that was, I don't know, it's
That's
just
beautiful. We need to include that picture in this too.
And I think the last picture that I found that has really helped me is a picture of just Christ holding a woman. And there's some days that we're just doing that.
Absolutely.
And I think those 4 paintings or images have got, like, they just encompass this whole experience that God is trying to teach me right now, which is trust him, learn in him. And it's not just sending my kids. This is a life lesson I'm going to have to do all the time.
Right.
With finances, with finding my partner, with making life decisions. Because, you know, Dad always says, Dad hated. We gotta be clear.
Yeah.
Your dad. I hate saying, we never say that. We never say
know.
your dad. So Papa hated. You know, he says life is meant to be lived, not controlled.
Right.
And that comes with surrender. That comes with faith. That comes with trust. And as, you know, as faithful as I thought I was, God's like, we're going to put that to the test. And I'm like, okay.
Yay. Pop quiz.
So I think that's my main thing is, as hard as this is and as prepared as I am for it to hurt like hell, I am using all of the tools and I am surrendering and I'm having faith and I'm putting myself in so many situations to bear that testimony so I remember and to have those images. Those images are going to be, those paintings are going to be in my house one day. All of them. People can be like, what is happening here? I'm like, this is a story. Let me tell you. Because I think it is life-changing for me because it's changed my relationship with God. It's stepped it up quite a bit.
Absolutely. And that, well, as you were speaking, it reminded me of a verse, and I wanted to look it up so I don't butcher it.
Oh, lovely.
There's a verse in the Bible. It's in James 1, verses 2 and 3. It says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." I used to hate that verse. I do not find joy in any of this. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Nope. Do not sign me up. But I think I misunderstood what the verse was trying to say, because I'm never walking through a trial and be like, this is amazing. I can't wait to do it again. But I think the verse is more speaking to finding joy and that you are growing.
Yeah.
Right? Your relationship with God has gotten closer and stronger and more steady and more firm than it's ever been because you are going through these trials and learning how to rely on him and how to surrender in a way that you've never had to do before. So I think that's more what the verse was speaking to versus you should be smiling and happy right now.
Right. Because, I mean, but at the same time, like with weightlifting, when is lifting weights like, this feels like a fluffy cloud of marshmallows, right? Like
true.
You and I didn't want to say feel good because you and I and pain have a very toxic relationship.
We do. Feels good.
But it's that growing and getting stronger comes from pain.
Right.
It comes from being stretched. It comes from pushing beyond your limits. And that's what we're doing right now.
You're having to PR your faith muscle.
I really am.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. We are getting swole.
Yeah.
But but what it's done is I just love that there is peace amongst the hard. And I'm anticipating the next few weeks to be hard. But I have the tools. Like we talked, like I have the tools. I can pray. I can go to scripture. I can go to these talks that gave me so much peace, and just understanding that whatever's happening is meant to happen for these boys, is meant to happen for me. And I don't get to pick. Oh my gosh, there was a meme that one of us sent. And it's like
that narrows it down because we only send each other 35 each day.
35 is really. So no, it's a guy going through a script, and I think the thing says like you going through God's script of life.
God's plan for you.
Yeah, it's like, why would we have to do that? And he flips a few pages. Oh, I get it now. I'm trusting that. I'm trusting that in a few pages I'm going to go, I get it now. Yeah. So I am just so unbelievably grateful that God loves me enough to lay out this lesson for me. I'm so grateful that he has taken the time to really drive it home in multiple different places. But I'm also beyond grateful that he puts people in my life like you, and that you live so close to the Spirit that you got to hear him tell you to send me those images, which started my whole, like, I got to go find pictures that represent this whole thing. So that now I have like a tangible thing to remind me of this experience and to remind me what I learned and how I need to continue learning that. Because I mean, if I just sat in my room and cried. Like, that's all I would do. And now I get to have good moments and happy moments. And I, more than anything, am able to support my kids as they're going through hard times, as they're struggling with this idea of leaving and going. And I'm not a mess. I'm going, baby, I got you.
Right.
I get to be that mother of the 2000. And I'm just so grateful that Heavenly Father laid that out for me so that I get to be stronger.
I love that. And before I do my gratitude, I want to mention that you've started this tradition when the boys leave.
Which one? We kind of have a couple.
We have a couple. The one I'm talking about, though, is the barbecue that we do for them. So
It's raining, by the way, tomorrow. So I don't know what we're going to do, but continue.
Yeah.
If everyone could pray for no rain.
That. Right.
I want to find a non-rain dance. We need to find what those look like.
Stop it rain dance, or like reverse it, or
like postpone it 24-hour rain dance.
Okay.
So we'll YouTube that.
Anyway, well, so our neighborhood is a very tight community. Jeez, words. A tight-knit community. Goodness gracious, I should have warmed up more. And these people are involved in our lives every single day and in our kids' lives every single day. And so you've started this tradition of a barbecue before the boys leave for everybody to just get together and love on them and have fun and eat food. And it's just a really fun tradition for all of us to say, see you later.
We love you.
We do. Last year, Dad, Lawler, Dad, prayed over the barbecue and prayed over the boys, and he made all of us cry.
He'll probably do it again.
He probably will.
That's probably going to be the tradition, as the man of the crew, right? Like, I think he's the eldest of the crew, and obviously being my kid's grandfather, I'll probably ask him to do it again. And he's a little marshmallow nowadays.
I know, but I love the tradition you created. I think it's a really fun way to send them off.
Well, I love, because Shirley was talking about it the other day, like, just the way she says, like, she really wants to make sure that they get to do stuff that's just for them, that helps them know that they're loved. And so that's what I love about this barbecue, is it's like, this is for you. This isn't like a end of school or a beginning of summer. This is a, we love you, goodbye.
Yes.
Like, we are going to miss you. And it's all the people, like you said, that show up in their lives every day. And what got me choked up was how many people it's so many people. And I'm like, that's the part that chokes me up, is I'm just like, how freaking loved are we? This is insane.
Right.
But I love that other people other than you and me as their interim father. But just how many people want those boys to feel so unconditionally loved is incredible.
I'm really grateful for our community, for everybody who invests in our families and in our kids. They are so loved and so supported, more than any kids I know. And I'm really grateful that everybody makes that effort to pour into them, to show up for them, to come to the barbecue, to be able to see that outpouring of love. It just leaves me speechless all the time.
So it's really special. I don't think I could do any of this life without you or that community. It makes it all not just worth it, doable.
Yeah.
Successfully, at least. Well, that's a heavy word. We're scraping by.
So here we go. 6 weeks.
Okay.
May the force be with you. May the odds be ever in your favor.
What else you got? We got to find all the ones.
I know.
Make a shirt of all of them. Okay. Well, until next week, if I'm still here.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unfiltered Summit Sisters.
Come join us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get a sneak peek into our lives.
It's beautiful, chaotic, crazy, and fun.
What else would you expect raising 10 kids?
All the links you need are in the show notes.
See you next week.